Hi, and thank you for listening to Dream 10X Radio, where we interview people attempting to live extraordinary lives. Our twofold purpose is to both direct and inspire people bold enough to do the same. Dream 10X. Face your fears and make your life count. Hey, Dream 10X. Welcome to episode 26 of the Dream 10X podcast. It's your boy, JC.
And it's Dr. Capel.
And this week we are going to do what? Dr. Capel, what are we doing? You're coaching me, right?
You're going to be doing some learning.
All right.
So I always talk about my personal vision statement. I commit to be a disruptor for positive change. Not disruptor of positive change, but a disruptor for positive change. What that means is I don't stand by the status quo, and I speak my mind.
You're a troublemaker.
I'm a troublemaker because it's all about standing up for the best possible solution, don't accepting things the way that they are, especially when oftentimes you hear, so this could be really more efficient if we did this way, or we're not hearing these people's voice, but then people come back and say, well, this is the way we've always done it. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that?
Well, I don't think it's always as obvious as this is the way we've always done it. Sometimes it's not, it's just not all that clear. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes it takes a lot of personal conviction to push against something a decision that needs to be made or something that's taking place. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so finding out more information, okay, that's the way it's always done it, but why is it that way? And the reason behind it, and then figuring out a solution that's best for the organization, thus promoting positive change. So when I operate in the universe and in work and in my life, this is how my aspiration of who I want to be. I have something similar for my leadership, who I am as a leader in the organization. And that is, I inspire a growth mindset and positive change in others. So that's how I lead my team. That's how I lead when I teach. And that's how I lead, what I aspire to be. When you write a personal vision statement, and this is something we've done with our leaders and organizations over the years, to help them become the leader they want to be. Do you have a personal vision statement or a leadership vision statement?
No.
No? Oh, I'm so glad you're here today, James.
I paid a lot of money for this coaching session too, so this better be good.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what goes into a leadership vision statement. And this is like a 4-hour class and takes a lot of reflection and a whole lot of activities. We're condensing this to 30 minutes.
Thank you.
So listeners at home, if this is something you want to do on your own, we'll leave some of the tools up on our website and the blog so that you can pull it down. And if you want to create your own, and if you want to reach out and want some coaching around it, we'd be happy to do that too. So when we look...
Before we go forward,
yeah.
There was this guy that came and talked to us at school one time in college, and this is not really kind of related to what you're talking about, but he had this phrase that I tried to adopt in my schoolwork, I guess, and then I tried to use it professionally for a little bit. But he was a coach, and his coaching metaphor was to think like a rhinoceros. That rhinoceroses charge full steam ahead at something, and they have a hard time like moving left or right.
Yeah.
So how did his name was Charlie Tyrion. I remember his name. He was a retired United States Marine Corps guy, and something along the lines of the animals of complacency and lethargy may be devouring me. Therefore, I must demonstrate the rhino spirit and charge ahead.
I love this. So Rhinos unite.
Yeah, I love that. So I thought about that phrase a lot going through college.
Yeah, that's
Demonstrate
awesome.
the rhino spirit.
And so what did you do to live by that?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
But basically the idea is, come up with a plan, an idea of where you're going, and charge at it full speed, and don't think about, dodging anything that's in your way. Just go right through it.
Yeah.
To get to your objective.
I love it. That's a very powerful metaphor. A lot of times, too, with our personal vision statements or leadership vision statements, it's understanding the behaviors that you've done or the conversations that you have and reflecting on it. And so at the end of each day, thinking through, well, did I live up to this or not? Did I charge forth like a rhino, or did I be passive and do nothing today? And if so, what was causing that? So really taking that time to reflect back on what you did or didn't do and the reasons behind it.
I don't usually reflect. I'm like, thank God I survived another day.
Yeah, reflection's really powerful to help you grow in whatever direction you want to.
I like that.
Yeah. So you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So speaking of reflection, so there's leadership strengths, and there's lots of different theories about leadership, great literature on the subject. There's a greatly admired historical leaders list that was populated by people, and it all came up with what are matters of principle. All of these leaders had or had not unwavering commitments to a clear set of values. They were passionate about their causes, and they were somebody that people wanted to follow. But what does that actually look like? What does a person of great leadership look like? So I'm looking back at all of our people that you've studied in the books that you've read and the people we've talked to. And I was curious from your perspective, thinking back on some of the powerful conversations that you've had, what were some of the really, really important characteristics of these people who were great leaders?
From the ones that we've talked about so far on the podcast?
Yeah, so anybody we've interviewed or talked to, and then we'll go into others.
Well, they all are well connected. They know a lot of people. They have a good Rolodex. Iger, Schwartzman, Buffett. All of these guys are good at raising money.
Okay.
Raising money to be invested to earn money for their investors. I'm just talking about character. So is that a leadership characteristic? I think so. I mean, people are putting their faith in them to give them money. And that's one way they became extremely wealthy, is they were able to raise money. Hey, let me invest in me, and I'll take your money and give you a return on it.
What did they do? What did they exhibit? How did they get people to have faith in them?
Well, I don't know. I mean, looking at Buffett, he definitely built up a track record of success with investing money. Schwartzman, same thing. He came from investment firms where he had a success record. He was well connected from going to Harvard Business School, and I think he was working at Solomon, if I remember correctly. Made a lot of good connections there and built up a track record as a good investor.
Mm-hmm.
Iger, worked at ABC from the ground floor and built up connections as he worked his way up the food chain there, and started building trust with everybody around him in the corporation. And somehow I don't really fully understand his story, but somehow he made a lot of good connections along the way, and people just trusted him, just implicitly trusted him. Even people that, the two guys that bought the company, somehow he built a strong chain of trust with them, which slingshotted him into becoming the CEO eventually of Disney.
I'm so glad you said that, because trust is like the foundation of leadership.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also heard you say, when you talked about they were able to get people to give them money, it was about their competence.
And trust.
Competence and trust, yep. Who else? Who else have we talked to, or books that you've read?
Well, then there was Jim Brown.
Okay.
The marine architect. What about him?
I know, you tell me. What characteristics did you really admire about him?
His creativity, his genius, his ability to write so clearly and humorously, and how do you say it? He was just a very good writer, and could spin a yarn.
So good communicator.
Good communicator,
and creative, being curious.
Yep, very.
Who else?
There's
Dave Renson, Karen, Yvonne Chouinard, Dave Robinson, Warren Buffett.
Right. So what was the question again? How do I...
What
leadership
are some of the things that you learned about leadership from the people that we've talked to? What are those most important characteristics of a great leader?
Okay. Well, Yvonne Chouinard definitely tried definitely set out to build a company according to his own strong principles of protecting and preserving the environment to the best of his abilities. It really took strong ownership of cradle to cradle aspects of the products that his company made. So innovation, there's a lot of innovation there. A lot of care about the company he was building and its impact on the environment and long-term sustainability of the money as well as the ecosystem involved. Dave Renson, I would say, just continuous learner, very strong, very smart, technical leader as well as business leader, and a people person.
So easy to get along with.
Very well networked as well. Very good at networking. Well, Dave Robinson, again, great communicator, good writer, technical acumen about the information. He was sharing with people in his book about how to eat better and improve your health.
That's a great list. So we have innovation, being well connected, being great communicators, building trust, being people person, like really being interested in others, having competence, technical acumen, and being creative. It's a very powerful list.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that also spoke to me when we were listening through is, for Karen, she's very authentic about who she is, and she's also willing to jump into the trenches. Like, she's willing to go scoop poop and feed the cows and do whatever needs to be done in order to solve the mission and keep things moving forward. I really admire her for that.
So, what's the word there? Perseverance.
Perseverance. Yep, absolutely. Perseverance. And David Renson too.
Yeah.
Resiliency. Like, that's something I saw in him, because he had to pivot as soon as he was in a challenging situation and it wasn't working out the way they thought, so he had to pivot and move. So that to me was really powerful. And then Dave Robinson too, one thing I liked about his was he did not take the status quo. So that spoke to my disruptor. He didn't accept that, okay, I'm going to be on medicine the rest of my life, what else can I do? And even though he's still on medication now, he still is able to change his way of being and explore that option really in-depthly and help others make change in their own world. So
Kelly Green too.
Kelly Green, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So those are the things, yeah.
And again, with the pivot and resiliency, the Busky Cider guys.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is good. Reflection on the things that we've talked about so far.
Yeah, what did we learn from all this stuff?
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So yeah, resiliency in the face of uncertainty and complexity is talked about a lot as one of the key characteristics of great leaders. Having a vision and sticking to that vision, charting a path for success and figuring out how to get there by instilling others, making lasting contributions, and time for reflection on personal growth, and then helping others create that space in their own worlds. So really being those great communicators and helping others achieve their dreams.
Can I ask you, when you do this class or when you do coaching on this, who are some of the people in the list of leaders that you look to?
Typically, to answer your question, typically the leaders that come out are who you would expect. Nelson Mandela.
I wouldn't expect that.
You wouldn't have expected that?
No,
He almost always comes up. Nelson Mandela.
Churchill. What's the Churchill's like the first thing that pops in my head?
He usually comes up too. Reagan, who else? Clinton comes up a lot as a great communicator. Gandhi comes up.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, yep, he comes up. All right, so we went through kind of some characteristics for you to think about. The next phase is your personal values. What do you value? So this is an exercise, and again, we'll have this on the blog that you can download for yourself. Here is a list of values, and I want you to go through it. And if one's not on here that really speaks to you, just write it down on the side, because this is not a never-ending list. But mark the top 10 that are of most meaning for you, and we'll give you a few minutes to do this.
The top 10 out of this list?
The top 10 out of this list.
Okay.
So I'm going to pause for a minute. Okay, so James put out his top 10, and that took, a couple minutes. Now, next, I want you to narrow it down to 5.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to pause again. All right, and that took about 30 seconds. Now choose your top 3. All right, so I made him go to 3, and as is quite normal, he wasn't quite ready to go down to 3 yet, because
What do you mean quite normal?
What?
If you go to 3, it's like, well, that's kind of a thin leader. But 5 is a little, more robust of a leader there, I think.
Interesting. So my top 3 are creativity, collaboration, and competence.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
What are your top 5?
I chose boldness, bravery, creativity, decisiveness, and I'm going to go with directness. I was on the fence between discipline and directness, but if I'm choosing 5, I'm going to go with directness. I feel like that's better.
Mm-hmm. Which one speaks to you the most out of all of them?
For some reason, boldness jumped out to me. It was either boldness or directness that I feel like I really admire.
Mm-hmm. And what do you admire about those?
Well, the boldness is, someone who's not mealy-mouthed or scared to address things, and is, someone who's, kind of bold and bravery are the two things, and that's why I don't know how to distinguish between those two, but I chose them both. Someone who's willing to dream big and go for it.
Yeah.
So I like that word. This other one though, directness, I really appreciate. Someone who doesn't mince words and leave you guessing. Well, what the hell did they just mean by saying that? Are they just trying to be polite, not hurt? Yeah. Tell me what the hell you're thinking. Be direct. I love that. That's what I really appreciate directness in a leader.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. People have a hard time with that.
People sometimes have a really hard time with that.
Yeah.
Because they're not bold.
Mm.
So if you got both of those, then to me, you're like, all right.
You're very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good leader there.
That's awesome. All right. So part 3, putting it all together. So a leadership vision statement can take time. Typically, you're not going to have it the first time out. It's something that you write down and then you want to reflect upon and really get it right. So you don't feel like you have to have a final version.
Well, how long did it take you to come up with yours?
Me?
Yeah.
The first one I ever did, oh gosh, I wrote it and then I rewrote it and then I rewrote it, and about 3 months later I was comfortable with it.
All right.
My second one round took about a week because obviously I taught the class a lot and it's processing in my subconscious at all times. And then my last one, it took me about a week to get it right for me.
What is the motivation for you in doing this?
For me, it's that, and for a leadership vision statement, it's the ideal person of who you want to be, that ideal leader. And especially as a supervisor now, I want to make sure that I am being the absolute best leader that I can be every day. And if I'm not, why not? And how do I? So it's like a way to measure the success of who you are. The way to measure the success of your leadership skills and am I growing as a leader or not? And that's the cool thing about a leadership vision statement. Once you achieve it and you're living it every day and it's part of your being, you need to change that because it's no longer a vision statement. It's who you are. Yeah. So it's a way to become.
But why do you want to be that?
Why do I want to be
the best leader that you can be?
That's a good question. Well, because I'm teaching it and preaching it, so I need to act as I am compelling others to do.
You're a preacher.
Because I think it's important. If I'm a supervisor and I'm an asshole, lazy supervisor, then I'm not getting anything done. And I could be. I could be like, whatever, you guys can stay siloed, and I'm not going to help you achieve things, and I'm going to be a barrier, or I'm just going to ignore you. Do your own thing, whatever. Let me know if you have a problem or if you're going to get in trouble. But otherwise, I don't care. So I could be like that. But what's the value? Why did they hire me in the first place? They hired me because of my skill set and of my motivation and my drive to make things better.
Yeah, I'm trying to get closer to the root of the motivation behind your desire to be a disruptor.
Versus having a leadership vision statement. You want my perspective on why to be a disruptor?
Yeah, where does that motivation come from?
I've been that way my entire life and gotten a lot of trouble in the Navy on a regular basis because of it, and growing up too, because I saw inefficiencies or I saw injustice, which is typically unfairness, or I experienced this and like nobody else should have to experience this. This is really hard, and so for me, it's making a better world. Like when I was trying to start my dissertation, Dr. Scully will tell you, she's like, okay, where are we going to go with your dissertation? I said, I don't care. I want to save the world. How do we do that? She's like, you got to narrow down your focus. Okay. So for me, and doing this and helping others create their own personal leadership and vision statements, then I can help to change the world slowly by creating better leaders in the world. So there's a study by Gallup that's pretty powerful, stating that there's a lot of really crappy leaders out there because we do a terrible job in organizations about developing our people. Once they're supervisors, we're like, oh, you're a supervisor, now we need to develop you. Oh, you're an executive, now we have to develop you. Versus people coming right in the door and we start developing them then. Everybody coming in the door at the basic ground entry level should have a leadership vision statement.
Yeah, that's one of the great quotes I took away from Schwarzman, is that great leaders are made, not born.
Yep, that's very true. Of course, academia has a whole body of research on both, but I subscribe to emergent leadership, which is like that. Everybody, the complexity arises where the situation allows for leadership to emerge, and understanding if you took that step and were bold, or if you didn't, and then again reflecting on it to understand the why behind your actions, and then being able to do something different next time around the situation comes up.
Cool. That's great.
Thank you. So you ready to write your own?
Yeah, well, I'm willing to, I'm ready to start thinking about it, yeah.
Okay. So a leadership vision statement is written in first person I'm going to give you instructions. No, you can write it down. I'm just going to, like, if you don't have to, I'm going to give you instructions. So a leadership vision statement is written in first person. So that's an I, because I do. And then it's followed by an action verb. So I inspire, I move. And then you write...
I crush.
Their tiny souls.
These are the ones I like.
Yes.
I smash.
Smash.
I destroy the competition.
This is why I love you. And it's also written in present tense. So even though it's a futuristic version of yourself, it's written in present tense, like you're acting it today, and it's who you are today. Because that helps to activate the brain in making different decisions. So it's all interesting neuroscience. A couple of examples. I move people to higher consciousness through art and imagination.
Oh my gosh. No, next.
That was my previous
Oh gosh, that's
vision
bad.
statement. So this one, okay, so this person was a client of mine. She was amazing. And she really wanted to change her way of being. And she was a blamer. Like, I'm blaming all of these people. And she also saw the worst in everybody. And she was the owner of a company. So you can imagine the culture. And she recognized that and wanted to change it to be a positive culture. So I just so admire her. And she did. She did amazing things and transformed her whole organization. But her leadership vision statement that she came up with, I see the world through rose-colored glasses. Which is really hard for her.
Oh, that was what she was aspiring to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she's so...
That's funny. That took me off there for a minute. Okay.
Yeah, so she was, because of the blame culture, saw negativity in others.
So she just wanted to have a more positive outlook.
Yep. So I see the world through rose-colored glasses.
Okay. So I think a key aspect of this is to find something in you that's not performing the way you want to first.
Yeah.
And then to make that vision statement something to evolve to.
Yeah.
To improve to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or even leveraging a strength that you have. So if you have a really positive strength, but you really want to take it to the next level, how do you do that? So if you're a good communicator, you want to be a great communicator. So it's not necessarily something you want to flip like she did, but you just want to improve a skill set. Two that I really like, too, were from different clients. I passionately inspire pride and ownership of shared goals, and I thrive on change and easily negotiate through challenges.
Nice.
Yeah. So, some things to think about as you're writing it are, how do I want to change the world for myself? How do I want to change it for my organization? How do I want to be remembered? If I could...
That I really like.
Yeah.
Because I could think back to Ross Savage and how she wrote her obituary.
Yeah.
To kind of frame her life, which that's genius. And so I really like that. Like, how do you want to be remembered? I like that. Okay.
Excellent. I'll just go through some of the other questions for our listeners.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. If I could invent the future, what future would I invent for myself? What mission absolutely obsesses me? What do I dream about? What's my most distinctive skill or talent? What's my burning passion? What work do I find absorbing, involving, and enthralling? What will happen in 10 years if I remain absorbed, involved, and enthralled in that work? What's my personal agenda, and what do I want to prove? So there's some questions to think about as you're writing this. But obviously, how do I want to be remembered is most powerful for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's almost, to me, that's like the only thing that matters.
I love that. So we're going to pause for a minute and let James focus on his leadership vision statement. All right, so that took probably about 10 minutes to come up with just at least a framework, and that's pretty normal, just to write something down and then revise it as you think about it. And again, the first one, took me 3 months to really figure out and get it solidified to where I really liked it.
Yeah, so I came up with 3 just to kind of see what they sounded like and see what they felt like, and I used this list of leadership characteristics that you had me group and come up with the top 10 and try to incorporate those into my thing. And so here I don't know if these I definitely want to redo these, but these are 3 that I came up with. The first one sounds familiar. It goes, I boldly go where no man has gone before.
I love it. Gosh, that speaks to me.
So Captain James T. Kirk, he should be one of the top leaders that we talk about.
Heck yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I love it.
Maybe that one will
take
stick.
it. Yeah.
Maybe that one will stick. I don't know. I like that one though. Captain Kirk. The second one is, I creatively designed the first sentient AI.
Ooh, damn.
That's a big one.
I always knew you were going to create the Skynet.
So I don't know about that one, but I think I like that. Which one do you like of those two?
It
better?
doesn't matter what I like.
Oh, okay. And then the third one was just kind of foo-foo. I plant and grow trees for my children's children.
It's a very futuristic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very Iroquois. Right
Yeah, totally.
there. Yeah.
Nice.
So thank you. That was. It's hard. It's really difficult, and I definitely. So after writing these three, I'm like, okay, I feel how those sound to me, and I'm going to continue working on that.
Awesome. So what was the hardest part?
The hardest part is trying to look inward and figure out, well, what is it you really want to do? What is it you really want to fix? What is it you really want to improve? And then try to make the vision statement pull that out of you and motivate you to do something differently in your life, I think.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for going through this with me. It was great.
Thank you. This is good, Coach. Coach Capel. Got a good read to it.
Dr. Coach Capel. Yeah, so if you guys are interested, again, we'll have some of these templates on our blog. You can pull them down, and if you ever want to talk, please reach out, and we could totally do a little session with you, a little coaching around your values and who you want to be.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Have a great night.